On this edition of Independent Sources, no free lunches, growing concern that more schools and students may be opting out of the Healthier School Lunch program.
It's a concern, and I think it's a shame when schools aren't willing to prioritize nutrition education and wellness initiatives that are strong enough to make a difference.
And sweet success. A Peruvian native starts a successful business using her grandmother's recipe.
When we first got into the market, we decided that we didn't want to be pigeonholed into just the ethnic aisle. We wanted to be more universal, and in being more universal, broader audience and more sales.
Those stories and more coming up on Independent Sources. Welcome to Independent Sources, bringing you news from New York's ethnic and immigrant communities. I'm Garry Pierre Pierre. Public schools around the country are dropping out of the Healthier School Lunch program because they can't afford it. The program follows standards set by the 2010 Healthy, Hunger-Free Kids Act that calls for school meals to contain more grains, fresh fruits, and vegetables. Here in New York, it's been a mixed bag. Some proponents highlight schools like PS 244 in Queens that had great success with its all-vegetarian menu. However, there are cases like PS 49 in the Bronx where hundreds of students are opting out of the program. Sarah Pizon sat down with healthy food advocates Lisa Suriano and Kelly Moltzen. They talk about how more parents can be educated about getting their children to eat better and the financial burden of sustaining such a program.
Lisa, Kelly, thank you for being with us. Kelly, in your experience, why is it that children are not eating these healthier meals?
Well, I think it's a combination of a number of different factors. First of all, the children have to be introduced to healthier foods at a young age, so whether that's in school or at home, the students need to be introduced and have a chance to taste the healthier options and basically be taught how this healthy food is, tied into their health and why it's a really good idea for them to try new foods.
So it would seem that it's an issue of education. How is your organization working to address the gap in education?
So at Bronx Health Reach, I coordinate the Healthy Schools New York program, and we help schools to basically start wellness councils. And the wellness council is an area where everybody in the school, from the parent coordinators, parents, school nurses, somebody from the Office of School Food, everyone has an opportunity to come together and talk about the challenges for addressing nutrition and physical activity issues within the school. So this is an area where everyone can come together and say, we don't see students eating as much of the school food options. What could we do in terms of nutrition education to incorporate this into the schools or promote more awareness among the parents? Mm-hmm.
Great. Lisa, how is the Department of Education involved in promoting healthier meals?
Well, the Office of School Food, that's a part of the DOE, works in partnership with a lot of different organizations like ours, like the Coalition for Healthy School Food, and they partner with us. They help to promote healthy options, the healthy options that they're now serving, which are really great. But it's an issue of exposure, and people need to know that it exists. Parents need to feel confident that they can send their kids to school and it's going to be something that they're going to eat and like. So the Office of School Food has worked with the Coalition, has worked with Bronx Health Reach to do events, family events in the schools where they provide dinner. So we do these family dinner nights that are really fun, and the Office of School Food will come and prepare a dinner with the items so that the families can come and taste them and see how really good the food is.
There was a report last summer that stated that some schools were already dropping out of these healthier meal options, and others were considering doing the same thing. Is this a concern for New York?
It's absolutely a concern. I think that I think people are too quick to say that this is failing. It's taken us decades to get to this junk food society that we have, and it's taken us all of this time to rely on packaged foods and processed foods. It's going to take time to turn the tide and to go back to healthy from scratch foods and having kids be exposed and familiar with it. So it's a concern, and I think it's a shame when schools aren't willing to prioritize nutrition education and wellness initiatives that are strong enough to make a difference.
Does the participation drop before coming back over time?
Once a school drops out, we usually lose our connection with them. So I'm not too familiar with what has happened in the schools. I don't know if you know.
I think it's a combination of things. Again, there's actually been a lot of progress in New York City in terms of improving the school food. They've improved the quality of the foods on the regular menu, as well as adopted this alternative menu, which is available for schools. And I think what we've seen is schools maybe testing out the alternative menu and then dropping out of that because they didn't see the students eating it. The alternative menu has a lot more plant-based options, more vegetarian items, things that the students might not have been exposed to. So I think it's a success in terms of the Office of School Food in New York City being pretty progressive compared to a lot of other school districts in the country, especially considering the really small budget that they have to provide students with lunches. They have about $1 per meal per child, which is very, very small. So I think they've actually done a lot in terms of improving the quality of the food, and now it's just a matter of the families and the students in the school community just needing to catch up with the options that are available and countering a lot of the junk food advertisements. Food and beverage corporations actually spend almost $2 billion marketing junk food to kids. So we have a very big uphill battle in terms of what we're competing with when we're trying to encourage kids to eat healthier.
Talking about the budget issue, in the same report that I was mentioning, it said that some schools are dropping out because they can't, the program is too expensive. Is this a concern in New York as well?
In New York, the alternative menu is the same for as the classic menu. So if a school chooses, and that's what's been an amazing accomplishment of the Office of School Food, has been able to create this healthier, from scratch menu that is within that very, very tight budget. I think that New York benefits from the fact that it's actually the largest food service public feeder, second only to the U.S. Army. So they have incredible buying power, and that allows for your food costs to go down. It's all, economies of scale. So I think that's been an easier battle for New York, although it has been challenging. They've been able to overcome that as opposed to a smaller school district that's not a part of this grand operation.
I read that the City Council is asking for $24 million to provide these healthier meals across the city. How far or close are we to achieving that?
So I think the money that they're asking for is to provide free universal school lunches to all students. And they're doing this more so to eliminate the stigma that comes from students sometimes eating the school meals. We see a fairly decent participation in school meals among elementary schools, but then among the middle and high schools, we see a drop in participation. And a variety of different sources have told us that this is an issue of the stigma of eating school meals in general, because kids don't want to say like, oh, I had to pay for the school meals, I couldn't bring something from home, or that's not looked at as the most ideal. So what they're trying to do is eliminate the stigma, and this would cost the city about $20 million to make universal school meals for all New York City students. The majority of the money for this program would actually be coming from the federal government, and it wouldn't be a very big increase for New York City children, but it would potentially help to improve, help to get 120,000 more students eating the school meals.
When you said 20 million, it's per year?
Yeah, so it's basically $20 per child per year.
Is there an age group that this is particularly affecting? Do you see kind of a
I think
pattern
we have an easier
there?
time with the younger children because your taste preferences are made when you're young, and it's really hard. This work has kind of been really active in the past 5, 6, 7 years. So kids that are in high school, we haven't had the opportunity to work with them. So their patterns of eating are pretty established and pretty unhealthy at this point. So it's a little bit harder to be able to change their patterns now. And also it's like Kelly said, it's a stigma. It's not cool. And middle schoolers and high schoolers are all about looking cool and what's cool. And so if school lunch has the stigma of not being cool, it's something that they're going to stay away from.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Lisa and Kelly, for being with us tonight.
No problem.
Thank you.
Still to come on the show, one mother's quest to empower Black children by teaching them about their history. Before that, Abi Hishola has some other news.
Thanks, Gary. Here's a look at some headlines from New York's ethnic and community media. Editors at the Jewish Daily Forward are looking for answers from the city about a controversial circumcision practice. Metzitza Bapeh is a ritual in which a rabbi sucks the blood from an infant's penis after a circumcision is performed. Over 1 year ago, the city announced a new regulation against it after several babies contracted herpes and died. Since then, 2 additional babies have contracted the disease. The Forward has since reached out to the city's Department of Health and Mental Hygiene via phone and email several times to find out how or if it is actually regulating the practice. The city has yet to respond. A new study by the Center of American Progress finds that the growth in the population of Indians, Asian Americans, and Pacific Islanders will affect key policy areas such as immigration, education, and healthcare. The study finds that 55% of Asian Americans prefer an activist government that offers more services rather than a smaller government that provides fewer services. News India Times reports that Indian Americans are the 3rd largest Asian community in the U.S. at over 3 million. Chinese are still the largest group with a population of 4.1 million. Other prominent groups include Filipinos, Koreans, and Japanese. Rents in New York City are up and salaries are down, yet some Brooklyn neighborhoods are thriving. The Brooklyn Eagle reports that brownstone neighborhoods in Brooklyn, such as Fort Greene, Brooklyn Heights, Williamsburg, Greenpoint, Park Slope, and Carroll Gardens, have seen a boost in wealthy households within the past decade. This while the median apartment rent in New York City has risen by 75% since 2000. Incomes in the city are down by 4.8%, according to a recent report issued by New York City Comptroller Scott Stringer. According to Mr. Stringer, poor working New Yorkers earning less than $40,000 a year have been hit the hardest by rent increases, as they now spend up to 41% of their wages on rent. City Limits reports that a new housing program has been successfully keeping children out of foster care and in school. Keeping Families Together, or KFT, is a supportive housing program home to 26 families. The program caters only to families who have been chronically homeless, have a head of household who was a substance abuser or mentally ill, and have children who are at risk or who've been taken into foster care. So far, the program has seen a decrease in the child welfare involvement for the families who've entered the program. After 1 year in the program, school attendance also went up, with school-age participants attending an average of 25 more days per school year. And finally, who exactly is General Tso, and why does he have a chicken dish named after him? That's the subject of a new documentary that recently premiered at this year's Tribeca Film Festival. The makers of the documentary, titled The Search for General Tso, say they came up with the idea to make the film 10 years ago after ordering the Chinese dish. In the film, descendants of General Tso describe him as a powerful 19th century general who helped end the Taiping Rebellion and 1850 Southern Chinese Civil War. According to Voices of New York, the film also examines the links between the emergence of Chinese food and the slow acceptance of Chinese immigrants in the United States. Those were just a few headlines from New York's ethnic and community media. Independent Sources will be back right after this.
Thanks for staying tuned. Because of Them We Can is a multimedia campaign featuring stills and videos highlighting children dressed as African American icons such as Muhammad Ali and Harriet Tubman. The campaign's creator, Eunique Jones Gibson, started the project in 2008 after President Barack Obama took office. It was her attempt to inspire her sons and teach them about Black pride. I spoke with Jones Gibson about why she thinks such a project is still necessary. Eunique Jones Gibson, welcome to Independent Sources. Tell us more about the project, Because of Them We Can.
Well, Because of Them We Can is a campaign that initially started last February. A few days before Black History Month, I was thinking about the state of Black America my sons and their future, and trying to think of ways to inject some positivity into media, into the atmosphere in general. And so started to think about people who have paved the way for my little boys and little boys who look like my two sons, and came up with the Because of Them We Can campaign as a way to contemporize Black history and re-engage people and help them reimagine themselves.
Okay. And who is this little boy? Who does he represent?
That's actually my son, and he's representing Muhammad Ali on the cover.
Why?
Because Muhammad Ali is someone who had strong values and morals and definitely paved the way for a number of African Americans inside and outside of sports, and he was unapologetically himself, regardless of whether people objected to it or not. He was comfortable and confident in his own skin, and I think he serves as a role model for other kids to be the same way.
And looking at your book and doing some research about the project, I'm thinking, you know, it reminds me of Bob Dylan's song, Blowing in the Wind. It's just like, how many roads must a man walk down before you call him a man? What do we have to do as African American in this country where we don't have to make these connections? We don't have to keep educating people about our values, our worth to this country and society?
Well, I don't think we'll ever get to the point where we have to stop. It's like taking a shower, something you do every day. And when it comes to our self-esteem, it's something that we constantly have to remind ourselves of, that we need to have high self-esteem and confidence. And when you live in a world where sometimes the way you feel about yourself isn't necessarily the way other people think that you should view yourself or feel about yourself as Blacks or African Americans, you have to have movements like Because of Them We Can. The whole purpose behind this movement is to educate young people and seasoned people about the individuals who have come before us and the individuals today who are paving the way. Hopefully we get to the point where the conversation expands outside of Black History Month consistently, but I don't think we'll ever get to the point where we'll want to stop talking about Black excellence.
Carter G. Woodson started Black History Month in the 1920s purposely to address the same things we're addressing today. And it's a sad commentary to hear you say that it will never happen. Why do we have to continually educate people about ourselves? I mean, I know you said it's like taking a shower, but you know, Italian Americans, no other group in this country has to carry this burden. Why us?
Well, no other group has gone through what we've gone through in this country either. And so I think it's something that is important that we continue the conversation, because it doesn't take place in school. We aren't taught Black history beyond Black History Month in school. We aren't taught Black excellence and achievement and you know, excellence in general in school outside of the month of February. And so we need to tell our own story instead of relying on other people to tell it for us. And we need to have a banner that everyone can lift, whether they're Black, Caucasian, Asian, Native American, Latino. We want the Because of Them We Can movement to be something that all kids of all hues can raise together as a example of individuals who have paved the way for everyone.
Programmatically, how do you get this across? Do you have events? What do you do to really promote this whole idea?
So the campaign started as a social media campaign, and so a lot of the material, the content comes across through Facebook, Instagram, mediums that we all consume every day, all day. And then we have things like books and other ways that people can carry the message, but the main way is social media and online, and then we do live photo shoots and castings where we actually engage with the kids. In the book, you see over 650 children that were photographed, and so those were all touch points where we were able to educate the kids on the individuals and also take their pictures at the same time. So it's a mix of media. Who
do you work with? Who are some of your partners in these programs, in these?
Well, right now we're self-funded, and so what we're trying to do now is get scale. We're in New York, so you'll notice that there's a billboard on Malcolm X Boulevard that we actually paid for and put there. Our goal is to have 10,000 billboards, and so of course we're trying to talk to partners who see our vision as one that aligns with theirs in order to be able to inundate children with these messages on the way to school, wherever they are, wherever they go, so that they're constantly in tune with what we're doing.
Ultimately, what's the goal here?
The ultimate goal, you know, it's one that is a big goal, but we believe that something like this can change the world, little worlds. The little girl who portrayed Marion Wright Edelman, she is autistic, and her mother reached out to me and said, thank you so much for allowing my daughter to participate. Every morning she wakes up, she goes to her picture, and she says, look, Mom, I did something important. I think that we can replicate stories like that across the kids that are actually in the project and people who actually touch the project. I think it has the ability to help people in general reimagine themselves.
Recently, there was an article about a young man in Long Island, New York, who got accepted into all 8 Ivy Leagues, and that got a lot of play. And so, does that help anyway, or is that an outlier, or is this more representative than people know?
I think it's common. I don't think it gets a lot of press, but I think it's definitely, it exists. I definitely think that his story is unique because he got into all schools, but I think there are other little children like him who have similar stories of success. I just think we need to share them more often so that other kids become inspired and encouraged to actually try. What happens now, I don't think people try because we get discouraged before we even put our pen to the application. So the more we hear about people like that little young man, the more we'll have kids feeling confident enough to try as well.
Now, I looked through the book. I didn't see someone representing Obama, or is there someone representing Obama in here, President Obama?
Actually, that's one of the first pictures. It's actually him and Michelle Obama together as a unit. So, and the quote is, yes, we can. And I feel like it was important to make that the first page of the book because him being the first African-American president, I believe, is a huge achievement and something that a number of the individuals in this featured in the book have worked to get the point that they have worked to get us to.
Isn't it a bit ironic that after the re-election of an African-American president, there is still a need for because of them we can?
I don't think it's ironic. I think it's no different from people who say racism is over because there's a black president. It's just not true. Okay. There's still a lot of progress that needs to be made, and there hasn't been a because of them we can before 2013. There wasn't a movement where the goal was to educate young people about their ancestors by putting them in the shoes of those individuals. That's something that was national and even global, and so this is the first, and it has the potential to go beyond just the African American community. Just this in March, we feature women who were history makers, Hillary Clinton, a number of women who have paved the way that don't have brown skin. And so what we want to do with this movement is make it a banner that all kids of all hues can raise together as they strive to accomplish great things.
Well, Eunique Jones Gibson, good luck, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
You can learn more about the campaign at the website becauseofthemwecan.com. When we come back, a fledgling flan business takes off in the Bronx. Finally from us, Claudia's Gourmet is a new business that's reinventing a dessert that some believe had become an afterthought in many Latino households. Claudia Berroa and her husband Richard describe how they went from preparing flan for friends to rebranding their product for a bigger market.
My grandma used to make flan, and that was my favorite dessert when I was little. And I was raised with my grandma, and part of me to start making the flan is to remember her because she was a wonderful person. I love her so much. I started my flan like 7 years ago, making home when we are making dinner parties with my friends, and all my friends started loving it. Say, oh my God, you should sell this. And with my husband, we were thinking, you know what, well, we don't try and make a big portion for like 10, 12 people. And the first time we sell, that was like 3 years ago, and we was around like 300 of those big pies, the flan. And then we decided to do it like single portions, no? Because some people, they don't want to buy a big one, you just want to eat, no, for lunch or for just with the coffee. And we found these containers, little containers, and we started selling in savers. That was the first market we got, and then we went to Gourmet Garage, we went to Union Market, and they love it.
When we first got into the market, we decided that we didn't want to be pigeonholed into just the ethnic aisle. We wanted to be more universal, and in being more universal, broader audience and more sales. So we decided to call it custard because custard is all-encompassing term for what it is, which it is. It's an egg custard made with milk and sugar, and it's something that goes across all cultures almost. Initially, when we started, we thought that we fell under the homemade goods provision of the Department of Health, but we found out that you have to cook in a commercial kitchen when your product requires refrigeration. Since the flan requires refrigeration, we had to find a commercial kitchen. So I started Googling online, and I came across WEDCO, which is a community organization in the Bronx that helps empower women, and they do it through various programs. They have 5 different kitchens where you can go in and make what you make.
I like that kitchen because besides that we do it, a lot of people rent it, they help a lot of women they don't have resources, not, and they help a lot of single mothers too. And we rent it out once a week. Sometimes we can do it twice a week, depending on the order. And we go on the Tuesday in the morning from 8 to 2 o'clock. So we're trying to cook all we can. So we made like 600 flans. Sometimes we can do 400 flans for the week for the delivery. It was very hard, but my husband, he was like knocking the door all the time, send us samples, and it's all paperwork. You need a permit and reach the buyers from the supermarkets is hard because most of them, they like to work with distributors. Now we are like selling in like around 12 supermarkets now. I love when I go to the store and I see my product and I say, oh my God, I can't believe I have one product in there. And it's amazing, it's nice.
She's been here in this country 13 years, and she's established herself as the leader in gourmet custards. The fact that we met and got married after 6 days, and it's been a magical ride, and I'm so proud, and I love her so much, and all of this just solidifies, or it makes my choices or our choices together, like it gives a validity that we made the right choices.
That's our show this week. Thanks for staying tuned. Till next time, be independent-minded.